Hello everybody, I hope you're all well. So today I'm actually so excited to film this video. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a different topic. It's a little bit of a lighter one, but I kind of want to cover different sort of lighter topics in between my heavier topics, not only because it gives me a little bit of a break, but also I just want to keep putting out more content for you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and there is going to be like some deeper analysis to it, I promise. And also sometimes I do want to make a 20-minute analysis video about a niche 2010s reality show which got pulled off the air after 4 episodes. I'm a simple woman. I promise this will be a good video, so please stick around. Today, I'm going to be discussing the Fox reality show I Want to Marry Harry, which was pulled off the air after 4 episodes, but all 8 episodes are still available on YouTube and other streaming services. And yes, I did make this video because I'm interested in the show, not just because I can write off a tiara and my Princess Diana mug on my business expenses. I actually remember when this show came out, and I remember the British uproar about it. Like, how can these stupid American bimbos believe that this random man is Prince Harry? How can anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together rationally believe that a member of the royal family would go and find their future wife on a reality show? The royal family respect themselves far too much to do something that unclassy. Am I right, guys? The royal family definitely don't have a history of shady or illegal behavior. Am I right, guys? I mean, come on. Prince Andrew's been buddy-buddy with Jeffrey Epstein for years, but Prince Harry going on a reality show is ridiculous to believe. All right. I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but I do remember when I first heard of the show, I did also think, how did these girls believe that Prince Harry would go on a reality show? But I ended up watching it with my boyfriend a couple of months ago when we were both really hungover, and maybe it was the hangover, but I kind of understood how these girls fell for it. And then when I did some further research into the show and I found out how the show was made, I then completely understood how these girls fell for it. So that's what I'm going to be discussing in today's video. But just before we get into it, I want to thank today's sponsor, Raycon. Raycon specializes in wireless earbuds, which are actually affordable. They start off at half the price of most premium brands. Like, they come in this cute little case, and they're actually really nice and sleek and stylish. And I use my Raycon earbuds all the time when I'm walking around, when I'm on the bus, when I'm on the tube, when I'm just milling around the flat, when I'm doing my work. As you can tell, these are very compact, and they also have more bass as well. They have an improved rubber oil look and optimized gel tip. So not only are they very comfortable, but they also fit my ears really well. They connect really easily to any device just using Bluetooth. I usually connect it to either my laptop or my phone. Also, Raycons come with a built-in mic, so you can take calls at the press of a button. They have 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life, so I'm not worried about them dying when I'm out and about and, you know, on the go like a girl boss. And also on top of that, Raycon have a 45-day free return policy. So if you guys are interested in getting a pair of Raycons for yourself, click the link in the description by raycon.com/jordantheresa for 15% off your first order. Thank you again, Raycon, for sponsoring today's video. Part 1, the premise. I've decided to split this video into 10 parts because I have so much to say about this show and I want this video to be easy to follow. So firstly, let's talk about the entire premise of the show. 12 American girls are competing for the affections of Prince Harry, but Prince Harry actually isn't Prince Harry. He's just a normal British lad.
It's the British Boys Club. Tune in next week to see what fit birds we absolutely crush, brother.
Called Matthew Hicks, who just happens to look like Prince Harry. I already don't like this. I don't like reality shows where multiple people are fighting for the affections of one person. I always find that the energy is really unbalanced and it's always quite tense. I just find it really weird watching one person date 10 or 12 different people. Honestly, you genuinely couldn't waterboard me to do that. And I know in the early stages of dating, you don't have to be exclusive with them, but 10 people and you're all living together and you're all discussing what you did on your dates with each other, like when you guys kiss. And I Want to Marry Harry was actually inspired by the 2003 reality show Joe Millionaire, where I think around 12 women competed for the affections of a millionaire who actually wasn't a millionaire. He was just a regular wage earning construction worker. The show has 8 episodes which all follow a similar structure. Prince Harry hangs out with the girls in some kind of group setting or activity. Just 10 hot American girls and a man pretending to be Prince Harry. The first episode there was a masquerade ball. The second episode there was a pool party, you know, fun group things like that. And during these group activities he'll usually pull 2 or 3 girls for a chat. Can I pull you for a chat? Or he will ask 1 girl on a date or 2 girls on a joint date. And the girls who aren't chosen for the date have to do some sort of unglamorous or physically arduous activity, almost to sort of prove that they can handle the difficult duties that come with being royal. So for example, in one episode, Prince Harry takes 2 of the girls out on a date to ride horses, whilst the other girls that are left behind have to muck out the stables. What I find really funny about this is in one of the episodes he took one of the girls to go and play tennis, and the other girls left behind had to do a combat assault course, which I feel like they were kind of implying to the girls that if you were to become a royal you'd have to join the British Army. At the end of the episode, after he spent time with the girls, Prince Harry has to choose 1 girl to eliminate, and the 1 girl that he wants to get to know better he will put in the Crown Suite. All of the contestants share bedrooms, and the Crown Suite is a very fancy, private, decked out bedroom which is closer to Prince Harry's. And the girl who gets chosen for the Crown Suite usually gets to spend extra time with him as well. They may go on dates, they may go on walks, they may spend extra time together in his bedroom, if you know what I'm saying. By the way, no one had sex, they literally just hung out and made out. And this process repeats every week until he's chosen a winner, and he has to reveal to the winner that he is not Prince Harry. And I feel like this is one thing which the show really missed, was not telling the girls after they were eliminated that they weren't dating Prince Harry. I think they were too scared of one of the girls just screaming out and trying to yell to the other girls that it's not Prince Harry, like shatter the illusion for the other women. So we don't get to see anybody's reactions apart from the winner, and I feel like it's such a shame because honestly, I would walk over glass just to see Kelley's reaction.
Part 2. Prince Harry.
As I said earlier, Prince Harry is just a random guy called Matthew Hicks, who is not a prince, but he is actually an environmental consultant. And I remember when me and my boyfriend were first watching this, he was wondering how the idea came about for Ryan Seacrest. Did he just think of the I Want to Marry Harry concept and start scouting for Prince Harry lookalikes? Or was he just wandering around in London one day, saw Matthew Hicks and was like, wait a minute, don't let that man get away. You know, what came first, the Prince Harry lookalike or the fake Prince Harry dating show? And it turns out that Ryan Seacrest thought of the idea of the show first and scouted Matthew Hicks on a celebrity lookalike website. And whether Matthew actually looks like Prince Harry is kind of up for debate. I mean, they do look alike, but they don't look alike enough to the extent where I would actually mistake him for Prince Harry. Like, you know, they aren't doppelgangers. But I also think because I'm British and this country is very patriotic when it comes to the royal family, we literally get bank holidays for like diamond jubilees and royal weddings. And the media over here is obsessed with the royal family, so it really gets shoved down our throats from a very young age. Of course, I'm going to be able to tell the difference between Prince Harry and someone that looks like him. But when I think about it from an American perspective, like, yes, there are a lot of American people who are really into the royal family, but Prince Harry isn't even in line for the throne. So I don't really think that Prince Harry has ever been sort of like in the forefront of American media. So I don't really blame these American girls for thinking that this lookalike is actually him, especially when they're being gaslit by producers, but I'm going to elaborate more on that later. But I'm not being funny. You could literally show me a picture of any American person and tell me that it was like Joe Biden's son, and I'd probably believe you. Like, Joe Biden has kids. Does he have kids? I don't even know if Joe Biden has kids. Anyways, back onto the topic at hand. Matthew confides to the audience that he actually has a lot of dating struggles because he looks so much like Prince Harry. Girls will mistake him for Prince Harry, and as soon as he corrects them and says that he's not, they're suddenly not interested in him. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I find it kind of hard to believe that this man gets mistaken for Prince Harry so often that it negatively impacts his dating life, especially when he is not even ginger. Yes, you heard that here first, folks. Matthew Hicks is not even ginger. He dyed his hair ginger for the show. He's a natural blonde. But let's say Matthew does actually get mistaken for Prince Harry really often, to the point where it negatively impacts his dating life. Why would the next logical step be to just pretend to be Prince Harry? So I really want to hammer this point home. Let's say a woman approaches Matthew thinking he's Prince Harry, has a conversation with him, asks him if he's Prince Harry, he says, sorry, no, I'm not, and suddenly she's not interested. Let's say that social interaction lasts around 5 minutes. So this woman thought that Matthew was Prince Harry for 5 minutes. Why would you then make a group of women believe that you are Prince Harry for 2 months? Wouldn't you rather just get rejected after 5 minutes than get rejected after 2 months? Why would you long out that process? Like, what is the logic behind that decision? Well, you know, actually, I can tell you. Matthew said that he wants a girl to get to know him for the real him. But you can't build a healthy relationship on the huge lie that you're Queen Elizabeth's grandson. Because from what I saw on the show, a lot of the conversations that the contestants would have with him would be about him being royal. And the dates that they would go on, helicopter rides, horse riding, getting mobbed by paparazzi at the local pub, are only things which you can really regularly do if you're part of the royal family or you're really rich and famous. How are you supposed to build a healthy relationship when every part of the dating process was a lie and isn't going to reflect how your real relationship will actually be? I'm not going to dig out Matthew Hicks too much in this video. I especially think, like, you know, when you're a normal person and you get approached by a reality show, of course you're going to take the opportunity because, you know, it could possibly change your life or you could make a lot of money. Part 3, the contestants. So there are 12 contestants in I Want to Marry Harry, and they're all American girls, and I completely understand that because I don't think that this premise would have worked on British girls. And not only that, it's just so entertaining to watch this fake Prince Harry getting really flustered by these hot American girls who are just all over him. There is Leah, Andrea, and Carly, who get eliminated in the first 3 episodes. There is Chelsea, who is an actress slash model who actually ended up quitting the show, but I will elaborate more on that later. There is Annalisa, whose occupation on Wikipedia was Miss LA, and she was actually one of 2 contestants who was pretty sure that Matthew wasn't Prince Harry. She literally interrogated him like a government official to the point where he actually chose to eliminate her because she was really onto him.
What kind of responsibilities do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
I can't really say.
And there is Maggie, who is an account executive and really stood out on the show because she got wasted every single night, at least from what we saw on the show, and I will elaborate more on this later. There was Meghan, who was an artist and probably one of the most disliked contestants from the show, but also I think that she may have been the most well-known, at least from my research. At least from my research, she did the most post-show interviews. I think people were most interested in talking to her. Jacqueline, who is a nutritionist slash model slash actress. Rose, who was a preschool teacher, and even though she was very nice, she used to do this really weird thing where she would like sexualize the fact that she was a preschool teacher. Like, she used to be like, yeah, no, I'm a naughty preschool teacher. And it was just like, Okay. Ew. And also another thing about Rose is that she realized throughout the show that Matthew wasn't Prince Harry and ended up confronting him before she got eliminated. But she actually said in a Refinery 29 video, even though she knew that Matthew wasn't Prince Harry, the confrontation scene actually, according to her, wasn't real. She said that they'd stitched clips together to make it seem like she was confronting him, but she actually never said anything to him about him not being Prince Harry. There is Kelley, who is a hostess and honestly the most incredible contestant to grace this show. Absolutely amazing.
Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique, completely not ever been done before, unafraid to reference or not reference, put it in a blender, shit on it, vomit on it, eat it, give birth to it.
And I'm going to talk about more of what happened with her later in this video. And there is physical therapist Karina and social worker slash actress slash model Kimberly. Part 4. Prep for the show. When the contestants were selected, they were actually told that they'd made it onto a reality show called Dream Date, and they actually weren't told anything about the premise. They didn't know whether they were going to be competing against other people for one person, like The Bachelor, or whether they were the one person and other people were competing for them, like The Bachelorette, whether there would be multiple suitors, like a sort of Love Island situation. They really had no idea. All they knew was that they would be flying to the UK for it. And on top of that, once they landed, they had to isolate in a hotel room for some contestants, say for 3 days, other contestants say for an entire week. And I feel like this seems quite normal now, you know, like in COVID times. Isolation isn't really out of the norm, but think about it. It was in 2014. There was absolutely no reason to isolate them. And during this isolation period, which could have been anything from 3 days to 1 week, they were given absolutely no entertainment, no books, no television, no magazine, no radio. They also had their phones taken off them, so there was no way of talking to people, no social media, no contacting anyone, and they didn't even get to talk or see the person who would deliver them food 3 times a day. And as you guys can probably tell, this is probably a little bit of a tactic to make the girls a little bit sort of stir crazy and like cabin feverish, maybe a little more inclined to believe that Prince Harry would find his future wife on a dating show. Part 5. Alcohol consumption. Alcohol consumption is definitely a bit of a moral grey area when it comes to reality TV, because you're already putting these contestants in a very unnatural situation. They usually have no contact with the outside world, no way of entertaining themselves. The only thing they can do is talk to each other and date each other. And usually producers will sort of try and direct them in what to do. So there's a lot of pressure as well. So throwing alcohol into the mix is never really a good idea, especially because at the end of the day, producers do have a duty of care towards reality contestants. A lot of reality shows, at least over here in the UK, but I do feel like it's the same in the US, will set very strict drinking limits on their contestants. I know that on Love Island UK, contestants are limited to 1 glass of wine or 2 glasses of champagne or 2 beers a night. And I very rarely watch reality shows where they let their contestants get really, really drunk. The only shows I've seen recently which I don't think set drinking limits is Temptation Island, Love is Blind, and Are You the One? And I think a very big reason why reality shows now set drinking limits on their contestants was because of what happened on season 4 of The Bachelor in Paradise. Basically, on the season 4 of Bachelor in Paradise, they had to shut down production after an alleged sexual assault took place when 2 contestants had been very heavily drinking. And this happened in 2017, and I really think that this changed the way that reality shows handle contestants' alcohol consumption. Producers know that despite contestants being able to get drunk usually makes some good TV, they also need to put their contestants' well-being first, and it very much does put their well-being at risk. And I know this is a very morbid way of thinking it, but I know that a lot of TV producers think like this. It also increases their risk of having to shut down production or getting sued. I Want to Marry Harry, as far as I'm aware, set absolutely no alcohol limits on their contestants. And I know that the show was filmed in 2014 and reality shows didn't really start cracking down on alcohol consumption until 2017, but it's very clear that not only do they not care about the well-being of their contestants, but clearly they were letting them get drunk because it would make for good TV moments. And one contestant which got drunk a lot was Maggie. It seemed that every episode up until she got eliminated, she would get drunk.
I personally think
Let's hear it.
he wants the perfect little, I think he wants a perfect little combination of like,
to the point where even the girls started noticing, and instead of asking her if she was okay or maybe offering her help, they all just called her an alcoholic.
I'm telling you, drink some water, eat some food, Maggie, slow down.
I'm sorry, I'm human, I got drunk.
To be fair, we don't know how much those clips were edited or manipulated, but it was very clear that all of the girls were sick of her drinking. And upon first watch, I can't lie, it is quite funny and entertaining just because you're seeing these other girls get so mad at her for getting drunk. They genuinely think that they're dating Prince Harry and that this girl is embarrassing herself in front of royalty. Like, how could you do that? Don't you take this seriously? But then when you sort of dive into it deeper and realize how the contestants were treated, it honestly becomes very uncomfortable to watch. Part 6. Racism. So a majority of the contestants in I Want to Marry Harry are white, apart from Annalie and Jacqueline, who I believe are both Asian, and Chelsea, who's black. And something which I really appreciate about reality shows is essentially their time capsules, and you can really see how people used to treat people in certain years, time periods, etc. And the way that these girls treated Chelsea was honestly really bad. So the big fight with Chelsea occurs in episode 4. Prince Harry chooses Chelsea and Maggie to go on a horse riding date with, and then have like a sit down and like a couple of drinks or whatever. And bear in mind, Maggie is the girl that gets drunk every night. She gets really excited that there's beer where they can drink. And Chelsea basically makes an offhand joke about how Maggie loves beer, and Maggie gets really upset and annoyed by this and feels like Chelsea is trying to sabotage her.
Now a few some beer or some cider.
I would love it.
We know, Maggie.
We know.
And honestly, like, from what I could see, it was very much just an offhand joke. But I'm gonna be honest, Chelsea did not care enough to actually sabotage anyone. But Maggie completely blows this whole situation out of proportion and says that Chelsea was trying to throw her under the bus in front of Prince Harry. And then Chelsea argues back and says, well, if you don't want him to think that you get pissed every night, stop getting pissed every night. And then the argument sort of stops there. But the reason why Maggie is so upset is because she saw Chelsea as one of her friends. And Chelsea clarifies that she's not here to make friends, that she doesn't need to make a blood bond with any of these girls. She's just not really interested. And that she doesn't understand why Maggie is getting so worked up over a very offhand joke. And then the next day, all the girls are sat round a table outside and Chelsea just says, oh, I'm bored now. That's all she says. That's literally all she says. And then 3 of the girls, Annalisa, Maggie and Meghan, but especially Annalisa and Maggie, just go off on one.
You're bored? I'm sorry we're boring you.
I would never say that.
And basically just gang up on her. And then Chelsea just gets to the point and is like, can you guys just shut the fuck up? And then the girls just completely blow up on her. Like, from what I watched, it seemed that they were just waiting for Chelsea to step a toe out of line so they could choose to try and start an argument with her.
Situation with you, as long as don't interrupt me when I'm speaking.
Let her speak.
I just
that is rude.
So shut up. I don't care what you
Excuse me?
Excuse
You
me?
need to like stop with your attitude.
And it turns out the entire reason why all of these girls are so agitated with Chelsea is because they feel like that she hasn't made an effort to be their friend. And it's just like, who cares? This isn't a friendship competition, come on. And during this argument, anytime that Chelsea sticks up for herself, they accuse her of having an attitude. The only girl that has her back is Jacqueline, and she says in the confessional that she feels like Annalisa and Meghan are bullies, but she still doesn't back Chelsea up in the argument. And because these 3 girls are really picking on Chelsea, Chelsea takes it upon herself to actually leave the competition because she feels like there's too much cattiness. And I am glad glad that Chelsea did decide to put herself first and remove herself from the situation, but also it shouldn't have to come to that. But this whole situation just did not sit right with my soul, especially because me and my boyfriend have really been binging a lot of sort of early 2010s reality shows, and we are sort of beginning to notice a pattern of black contestants being ganged up on or being really disliked by their fellow contestants without actually doing anything wrong. I've been watching a lot of Hell's Kitchen recently, and Barbie was really disliked by her team, and she was one of the strongest chefs and didn't really do anything wrong, to be honest. And all of the men on the blue team hated Sterling, even though he was really, really nice. Part 7, from manipulation to straight up gaslighting. Sorry, Princess Diana, Ribena break. For the first 4 episodes of the show, neither Matthew Hicks or anyone on set actually confirms that he's Prince Harry. It's just implied. And some of you guys may be thinking, how have they implied that this random man is Prince Harry without just outright telling the girls that he's Prince Harry? Well, they get him to arrive onto the estate multiple times in a helicopter. He is escorted and constantly surrounded by security. He has a butler called Kingsley, who is honestly one of the best parts of the show. Fake Prince Harry and Kingsley really become a dynamic duo. Kingsley is just a warm face. Kingsley feels familiar and he feels comforting. I miss Kingsley. They got fake paparazzi to take pictures and mob him whilst with the girls. They got fake fans to approach him and ask for pictures. And whenever the girls would ask him questions, he would always reply with Prince Harry adjacent answers. How many siblings do you have? Oh, I have a brother. Does he have any kids? Oh yes, he just had his first son. So what do you do for work? Oh, I do a lot of work for charities. Are you close with your grandma? Oh, I'm very close with my grandma, thank you. He doesn't even tell the girls what his name is. And on top of that, honestly, sorry, I can't believe I'm making a whole video about this show. A year ago, I was making class analysis videos, and now I'm making an analysis of I Want to Marry Harry. I'm on a downward spiral. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And one of the girls gets to go to his bedroom for a breakfast date, and on top of the chest of drawers there is a photoshopped picture of Matthew Hicks and Prince William. And as I said earlier, for the first half of the show, it's just implied that he's Prince Harry. No one ever says outright that he is Prince Harry. And I thought they were going to keep this up for the rest of the show, you know, for ethics reasons. So they weren't like outright lying to the contestants. Like even Matthew Hicks himself said that he didn't want to outright lie to anyone. And then in episode 5, Kingsley makes an announcement to the girls that the guy that they've been dating is actually Prince Harry. Kingsley!
I was rooting for you! We were all rooting for you! How dare you!
I'm just kidding. I can forgive Kingsley for this. He was just a man trying to get his check. He was just trying to get paid. I don't tolerate any Kingsley hatred in this household. And this is when the show started getting like kind of messed up, because they went from tricking the girls, which again, the ethics of that are still very wobbly, to just outright lying to them. And on top of that, when the cameras were off and all of the girls would go to bed, the producers would purposely stand outside their room and fabricate conversations saying that the royal family needs him to return because they're not happy. And allegedly, the producers didn't really allow the contestants to talk to each other without a producer being present. And probably the worst thing that this show allegedly did was they decided to get on-set therapists to talk to the girls. And I know what some of you guys are thinking. Jordan, how is this bad? They got an on-set therapist for their contestants. That shows they care, right? Right? Well, it turns out that this therapist wasn't actually a therapist. They were a producer. And when the contestants would share any doubts with this fake therapist, the therapist would respond with, and I quote, "You have to learn how to trust your mind. I understand that you're in a different country and you don't know what's going on, but you have to trust the people here. It's not good for you to keep on questioning." So clearly, the producers had to go to some very extreme lengths to pull this off. They had to isolate their contestants from 3 days to a week. During the competition, they lived in a castle with absolutely no contact with the outside world and allegedly weren't really allowed to talk to each other without a producer being present. And also, they were definitely not allowed to share their doubts with each other. They very rarely left unless it was for a date, and then the on-set therapist would basically tell them that they were crazy. And I know that I'm going to get some comments of people saying, well, they applied for a reality show, they know what they signed up for. But do they actually know what they signed up for? Because as far as the contestants were aware, they were filming for a show called Dream Date and that they would have to fly to the UK. They didn't know that they would be literally gaslit into believing that they were dating a member of the royal family. I just really think that these girls were really let down by the producers. And again, I know that people are going to say, well, maybe they should be more cautious when signing up to random reality shows. But at the end of the day, and I'm going to say this loud, producers have a duty of care for their contestants and to an extent are responsible for their physical and mental well-being. And as I said earlier, something which is discussed a lot in relation to I Want to Marry Harry is how did these American girls rationally believe that a member of the royal family would go and find their future wife on a dating show? And I especially think as a British person, it's really difficult to wrap your head around how someone would believe that, because everything to do with the royal family is very official and professional and vetted, apart from the Queen's nonce son, obviously, and the way that they treated Princess Diana and the way that they treated Meghan Markle. But you guys know what I'm saying. It's very sort of well known that a member of the royal family would not go on a dating show in like a million years. But I wouldn't put it past someone who's American to think that Prince Harry would go on a dating show, because not only is there not a monarchy in America, but Donald Trump was literally their last president who, yeah, no, he was an entrepreneur and obviously a massive racist, but we all know that. But also he was a reality star. He was the host of The Apprentice for years. There isn't really that same degree of separation between celebrity pop culture and the government as there is between celebrity pop culture and the monarchy. Part 8. Kelley. Yes, I have decided to dedicate an entire part to just one contestant. Kelley absolutely made this show with how much she was a die-hard believer that this man was Prince Harry, which again really brings up the issue of how unethical the production of this show was. Kelley is a hostess and a southern girl, and she doesn't quite fit in with the rest of the contestants just because she is quite innocent and sweet and a little bit naive, if I'm going to be honest. But you cannot say that Kelley did not give this competition 110%. The first date that she went on with Prince Harry was like a little canoe ride across the lake where they'd get in sort of like their little swimming cozies and go for a little swim as well. And Kelley decides to impress him that she is going to do a backflip off this canoe. And Prince Harry is like, no, please don't do that. I don't want you to hurt yourself. Like, he's honestly, this man's terrified. Kelley is like, no, I've got this. She does a backflip and she smacks her head off the side of the boat. And they do this dramatic edit where you believe for a second that she's actually drowned. It's honestly horrible.
Are you okay?
But she was fine. She was unharmed. She came out unscathed. But then it starts to get quite... On their second day, Kelley actually reveals to Matthew/fake Prince Harry that she is a survivor of cancer, that she had leukemia as a child and has been cancer-free for 16 years. And you can just tell at this very moment, the guilt is eating Matthew alive. He even says in his confessional that she's been through so much, yet here he is deceiving her. And he decides to just carry on deceiving her for 2 more episodes. Nice, classy one, Matthew. And in one of the last episodes, Kelley is telling Matthew about how much of a good person he is because of all the charity work he's done. And he's like, no, I'm really not. You're amazing. You've survived cancer. You're far more of a stronger and better person than I am. And she's like, no, you serve your country. You're so much better than me. and you can just tell Matthew wanted the ground to swallow him whole. He must have felt so guilty, and honestly, I know that obviously he chose to be on a reality show. It's not 100% his fault. A lot of it was down to the producers, but I hope that he didn't sleep that night, because I think that to a degree he needs to take some responsibility for how much he deceived these women. And earlier I spoke about the combat assault course that a lot of the girls had to do, and let me tell you, Kelley tore that shit up. She killed it. Honestly, the way that she absolutely destroyed that assault course, you honestly would have thought that she was an RAF soldier for about 15 years. You would have thought that Queen Elizabeth was at the finishing line ready with a crown to coronate her. And the longer the competition went on for, the more territorial Kelley got over Prince Harry. And I think she especially got very territorial over being a royal, because you could tell that she really wanted to be a part of the royal family, and you know, this is almost like a fairy tale for her, which again sort of makes it feel extremely unethical, because clearly she's been through so much, especially as a young child. So to be deceived into thinking that all of your dreams are coming true, oh my God. And another thing which Kelley did, which I absolutely loved, was that she would stitch up the other contestants and tell on them to Prince Harry, and I loved every second. And he only clocked that she was doing this in the final episode when she snitched on Karina for having a picture of her ex-boyfriend in her purse, because this wasn't the first time that Kelley had snaked out one of her fellow contestants. Earlier, she had snitched on Meghan for being a bully, which leads me on to my next part of the video. Part 9, Meghan's departure and hypocrisy. As I said earlier, Meghan is probably one of the most well-known contestants from the show. From what I could find, she did the most post-show interviews, and I'm not gonna lie, she isn't very likable. She's very catty. She would often sort of start fights, and not even necessarily start fights, she'd just kind of pick on the other contestants. Her and Annalisa seem to sort of be the main mean girls out of all of the contestants. They both ganged up on Maggie, Chelsea, Jacqueline, Kelley, and one like really cringy thing that Meghan used to do was she used to refer to Prince Harry as babe, but like not when she was talking to him, like when she was referring to him. Like in a confessional, she'd be like, you know, I wish that babe would just focus on like what we have. Please stop. It's making my skin crawl, Meghan. And you could tell that Kelley really did not like Meghan, but I think Kelley disliked Meghan mostly because she was quite crude. She would often use her assets to get ahead in the competition, which, look, you gotta do what you gotta do. And she'd also make dirty jokes about Prince Harry to the other girls, and Kelley just did not like it. She didn't think that Meghan was cut out to be a royal. And Kelley ends up telling Matthew everything about Meghan, that she's crude, she's a bitch, she picks on the other girls, she's only nice in front of him.
And whatever she's saying to you, I know she's beautiful on the outside, but really all she cares about is her and her curly hair.
Matthew does decide to sort of pull certain girls aside and ask them about the situation for clarity, and in the end he actually decides to eliminate Meghan, which was shocking because you could tell he was definitely attracted to Meghan the most out of all of the girls. And I'm trying not to dig out Matthew too much in this video because I know that it was more of the producers than him, and you could tell that throughout the show he started to feel more and more guilty. But something that he would say a lot was that he was worried that certain contestants were disingenuous, and it's like, really? You're pretending to be Prince Harry? It just has that extra sting when he's trying to be a member of the royal family. Part 10, the finale. So there are 2 final girls left in the competition, and Matthew has to choose between the 2 of them and which one he is going to reveal his true identity to. And it is between Karina and Kimberly. And Matthew chooses Kimberly. And she doesn't care. But Kingsley chooses to disturb the romantic moment they're having after she tells him that he doesn't care, to announce that because she accepts Matthew for who he truly is and that they're going to carry on dating afterwards, they've both won £250,000. What? I know that when I watched this, I was a little bit baffled about how Kimberly had such a positive reaction to Matthew revealing his true identity. You know, him literally duping 12 girls into thinking that he was a member of the royal family. Like, how is she so positive about this? And according to Kimberly, she revealed in a Refinery 29 interview that she knew for quite a while that Matthew wasn't actually Prince Harry. She said that she'd had doubts the entire time, but when she was on her way back from a shooting location in London, she actually drove past a tourist shop, and this was very, very close to the final, by the way, and there was a Prince Harry mask in the window, and she realized that that man looked nothing like the man that she had been dating for 2 months. She did say that she did try to warn her fellow contestant Karina that it wasn't actually him, but the producers sort of got in the way of that. She couldn't really find a time where they were alone, and she decided that instead of confronting Matthew or the producers, that she just zipped her mouth and decided to play along with it. And honestly, what a brilliant decision to make. She's now up £125,000. And the show ends with the audience seeing the butler, Kingsley, locking up the estate after 2 months of lies, deceit, manipulation, and gaslighting. And they all lived happily ever after. That's the video. Oh my gosh, this script was 6,000 words, but I really did enjoy filming this video. And if you guys want me to make more videos like this, please let me know. But yes, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and I will see you soon for another video. Bye!